guys, I'm the Serial Plagiarist with a bit of a different video. Basically a while ago, I was linked a video of this dude who made a negative review on Grand Theft Auto 3. My first assumption was that he used the luxuries of modern open world games and didn't consider standards back then, given GTA 3 was an innovator on a lot of things. Many open world franchises we know today would not exist if not for Grand Theft Auto 3. That includes Assassin's Creed and Saints Row. What I'm saying is that it was a game diving into uncharted territory and was extremely experimental for its time. And when you're the first to do something, you know it's going to be a bumpy ride. Now, I'm sure with hindsight, the creator of this video could agree that his review was poorly thought out, and I encourage him to try playing the game again. And considering what I'm going to say to this video I'm going to discuss is 7 years old, but oof. My god, does it make weak points on a classic. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Grand Theft Auto 3, I think the aiming's terrible, the controls off and the presentation dated, but I wouldn't say I hated it. It's the sort of game where you have to adapt to its crap factor by modern standards, and then you start having a relatively good time with it. There's a lot of valid criticisms this dude could make of GTA 3, even for its time, but he doesn't. I'd be curious on what he thinks of the definitive edition though. So without further ado, let's get into this video that tries to be a hit piece on Grand Theft Auto 3, and just sort of failed at it.
Tonight, I'm going to be reviewing one of the most overrated games of all time, Grand Theft Auto 3. Everyone is like, this game is so awesome, you can be a gangsta in it. Well, too bad, because this game is just so flat out broken. I really wonder how this game even got popular, because let's face it, it's just not that good.
Alright, I want to be fair. Even though his editing is virtually non-existent, his expressions and how he impersonates other people is solid gold. If this was a better thought out video, I wouldn't have much of an issue with it. With that being said, you wonder how Grand Theft Auto 3 became popular. Well, you should probably look at other games from the time period and do a little bit of research on what people said about the game way back when, in 2001. And you say it's broken. Like, I agree it doesn't work as well compared to modern games, but I don't recall it being a glitchy, buggy mess akin to the launch of Fallout 70 shit. I would like to ask your definition of broken.
I mean, this is one of the worst, most overrated games I've played, so... But, you know, just to start it off, let's talk about how bad this is. Now, I'm just going to be playing the Xbox version because that's the remade version.
It's not a remake or a remaster. It's a bumped up port, you silly goose.
So, let's talk about it. So, the game is basically you're in Liberty City, which is like New York City, but extremely tiny.
Hardware limited the scope of the open world. I'm sure if they had the Rockstar Ultra Advanced Matrix engine running on a PlayStation 9, it'd be the size of the entire state of New York, plus New Jersey and other surrounding states.
And you're basically some guy named, I forget his name. It doesn't even matter though, but basically you try to rob some bank, your girlfriend shoots you, and then,
You know, this video needed to be scripted and narrated properly so you don't stutter and trip over your words. This isn't a live stream.
Then the bridge gets blown up and nobody gives a shit, because that's basically what the plot of this game is.
Also, the plot wasn't a major focus like, say, Grand Theft Auto 4. They were prioritizing the open world and gameplay above all else. I think unless it tries to sell itself as a great, mind-blowing story, which isn't the case here, then it would be worthy of ridicule. But GTA 3's story is a basis for the gameplay and open world. It's that kind of story.
And then you also see, whoa, so many blur effects. It's like when the PS2 just came out. Well, this was an early PS2 game, but this is the Xbox remake, which has, well, better graphics than the PS2 version, but it still looks like a freaking Half-Life 1 mod.
It looks like a Half-Life 1 mod. Can you be specific on why that makes it bad? The art style was cartoonish in nature. So in the case of the graphics, you need to explain why it doesn't work by its standards, with the approach that it was going for, and so on. Because I don't see anything wrong with the graphics. Halo Combat Evolved looked way better in the same year, but it had a different art style. I'm just saying, consider nuances.
Same with San Andreas. It looks like a Half-Life 1 mod, but that's another game. Basically, yeah. And then you gotta start your first drive someone here mission. You also get other deep missions like shoot somebody. Because that's all GTA's missions are. Drive somebody here, kill somebody you don't give a shit about.
Are you saying that there's no emotional weight to killing a certain person? Or the character you kill wasn't given any character development? I'm confused.
And then you basically get into car, drive around, because the controls are so god-awful, you'll just be crashing all over the place.
Also, isn't that the point? Like when your car starts to be set on fire, you hop out and steal someone else's car, and it's a cycle of quick thinking and fast movement, which is the gameplay loop, especially when you're going on a rampage.
If you try to drive normally, you'll just freaking find your car. Every single car in the game is a piece of shit, and either spins out, crashes, and then takes damage so easily, if you literally touch, I don't know, a wall, your car will somehow be wrecked. I mean, this, I know, it might be like real life, but I don't want real life. This is supposed to be Grand Theft Auto, a game where you can run around and be a gangsta. This isn't, real life gangsta simulator. I mean, come on.
I don't recall GTA 3 being realistic. At all. Like, I personally haven't gone on a rampage swirling cars and stuff before, but as I said, the cars are made fragile by design, so you'll never be able to stay driving one car for so long, unless you're like an expert driver, and it adds for a challenge because your car bursts into flames on a 6-star wanted level, you have to do quick thinking to survive. This is what I enjoyed about GTA 3 and Vice City, compared to GTA 4 and GTA 5.
If you really... I mean, come on. I want to have fun. I want to be shooting cops. I don't want to get touched by cops and then suddenly find myself in the middle of nowhere.
I think this review is poorly worded on top of being poorly thought out. I don't want to be touched by cops.
The missions in this game have aged horribly. Did I mention there's no checkpoints? None of that stuff. It's just drive somebody here, and if you die, you have to start all the way over again, including the boring drive all the way to where you have the mission.
Yeah, I agree, and the fact that you lose all your weapons sucks too. I think they easily could have had the mission restart instead of having to go to the location where the mission is all over again. That was goddamn annoying, I tell ya. But our mutual agreement is gonna stop after some point, isn't it?
Other open world games can do this, and even games released around this time period, like Half-Life or Halo 1.
You mentioned games from this time, but you don't talk about the open world genre in this time.
Have checkpoints, so why can't this game? And I mention the radio is a little messed up too. You can only switch to a station. You can't switch to other stations you can't switch back. It's in a set order, so if you're trying to get to one station, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It would have been nice if you could switch backwards. That would have been a nice feature, guys.
You can also steal cars and go on rampages with the world's cheapest gameplay ever devised. Basically, not only does your car handle like shit, but you also have to suffer the horrendous radio. The only thing that's even remotely funny are the DJs, and everything else is just cheap. It's like shitty music. I mean, half was just composed for the game and it sucks, while the rest is just techno rave shit.
You know, when it comes to the radio, I don't have a lot of complaints about what this guy says. Although as a small part of the game, I wouldn't call this nitpicking, but it is an annoying feature. But it's not a game-breaking feature. This video isn't completely poorly thought out, it's just mostly poorly thought out.
Like Rise FM. That's just random techno rave shit. Lips 106 and Head Radio are just shitty pop music, which is even shittier than what you hear on the radio.
Well, of course the radio in real life would have an advantage, obviously, given they don't loop licensed songs all the time, and as time goes on, they switch up their music.
And, okay, so you drive around and run people over, but it's not even fun because your car seems to slow down and take damage from running people over, which is one of the things everyone complained about GTA. Did they do this just to please the parents, to try to be like, if you run people over, your car will freaking blow up? And if cops freaking touch you, you're fucked.
I don't even know what this guy's rambling on about. I have the feeling this was made more out of spite than a genuine critique of the game.
Because after all, unlike in Saints Row 3, if a cop touches you, you're fucking busted. Can you fight back? No. Can you punch the cop like you can earlier? No. You're butt fucked. Who thought this was fun again?
Also, couldn't it be argued that it makes the game more challenging and makes you more careful because if a cop busts you, you can't do anything about it? I mean, getting busted has practically the same consequences as getting wasted. You lose all weapons and some money. I don't actually see how it makes this specific game and how it was specifically designed bad.
And the aiming sucks worse than Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, have you ever played a first-person shooter? Well, if you use the right analog stick, you can only look when you're in cars. Some cars can be locked too, which makes it wonder why they call this GTA. You can steal cars, and then they put locked cars, which you somehow can't break. And the controls are god-awful. Like, the camera controls, instead of having an adjustable camera, this game has a camera that adjusts on its own, just like crappy Sonic games. Okay, I'm trying to beat this cop up. What's he do? He either butt rapes you, because after all, this is GTA, and in GTA, the cops butt rape you, or you get this god-awful aiming where you can't turn around and the game just aims for you like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I agree, the aiming isn't very good. But again, consider standards back then, and the scope for a game like this, and you'll see that it wasn't bad game design.
And if the cop punches you enough, busted. This game is fucking cheap. And yet, people praise this. It's cheap, it's boring, it ain't fun. If you think this game's fun, you're a noob.
This video can be classified as the so bad it's good because of how he says things and the words he uses. Noob. I haven't heard that word since I was an active player on Roblox in my youth. And for context, people who were new to Roblox were openly discriminated as much as minorities in 1960s America. Take it from someone who used to hate noobs as much as every other season's Roblox player. Jeez, I was such a gaming bigot.
Who probably hasn't played better games like Saints Row the Third. Saints Row the Third's a lot better. It's got working camera controls.
Wait, did you just compare a game released a decade after on more powerful hardware to the Pioneer to that game? This guy sucks at reviewing games.
In this game, did I mention the drive-bys are limited? You can't, like the drive-bys, it just turns the camera like a 90-degree angle and holds it there, like Saints Row, where you can turn it like in an FPS and just shoot. I mean, why didn't they do that with this game? I mean, the controls are just god-awful.
Also, can you be more descriptive and use different words? Saying god-awful a million times is tiresome.
The graphics haven't aged well either, because, like I said, this is the enhanced Xbox version, and it still looks like a Half-Life 1 mod.
Yes, I know, you already said that.
That's the thing with GTA, it looks like a Half-Life mod. And that's all GTA really... It's not even anything that good, I mean... It's just steal car, do mission, and you can't even go on a rampage because the game is just so limited in what you can do.
Say something new about the game, god damn it.
Because it's just poorly programmed. It's not really fun. I mean, it feels like you can have random glitches too. All in all, Saints Row the Third is so much better than this game. This game's just aged horribly.
Oh boy, comparison to a game released a decade after on more powerful hardware that would obviously have the obvious advantage.
It might have been cool back in 2001 when there weren't very many open world games, and when back then, whoa, this is the only game I can shoot cops in. Yeah. Now we've got Saints Row the Third, and that's so much better because you can dress up in a fursuit and hit cops with dildos. In this game, if you try to hit a cop, you get busted.
Wait, so you acknowledge that there weren't many open world games, and that this was probably fun back in the day, but you can't see the problem with what you're saying about GTA 3? Come on, dude. You can do better than this. In fact, if the original critic sees this video, I encourage you to try again. No hard feelings, buddy.
And yet and the people who made this game were like, whoa, you can be a gangsta in this. And sometimes you'll randomly get thrown out of your car, sometimes you'll just... It's not really fun. I don't want realism in a game about jacking cars and that. I want it to be just crazy shit. I mean, come on. This game isn't fun at all. Camera sucks. Don't buy this game. Please, there's a reason why there's piles of this up at every game store that still sells PS2 games.
It's probably because the game oversold and over-delivered and now they're stuck with a lot of unsold copies because it was that good.
It's just not that good. Don't buy. Oh, and if you want to beat up gangsters, look, they just freaking shoot you because they got some freaking aimbot, and your aiming sucks so much that you can't fight back. Don't buy this game. Save your money. Please, this game's just pathetic.
And finish. Well, that was a very interesting review of a classic game. I don't hate this video. I get what this guy is trying to say at some points, but my god, this could have been way better. Maybe I should dedicate some videos to looking at bad reviews made by random people on YouTube who didn't know what they were doing and hopefully have improved by now. Well, this was a bumpy ride. This was so easy to dispute, I am scoffing right now. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't this terrible at making reviews when I started making reviews, and again, I'm sure the creator can look back at this video and laugh at his crappy earlier work. That's how this all works. It's all in good fun, you know? I'm JJ Plagiarisms, and until next time, what are stories but mystery boxes?